Well, we're back for another episode with Dorking Wanderers as we settle into life in the National League. It's been a slightly surreal start to the season, and there's some more bizarre moments coming up today. Yes, hello and welcome along to another episode of this FM20 story, A Wandering Dork with me, Daniel. It's Season 3, Episode 3, and today after settling to life in the National League, we've got a double header against Sutton United and Swindon Town. Two big games in this episode, and you'll see why in a moment. We'll go and have a look at the table and everything else, but firstly we start on a screen of William Hondermark. Firstly because he's got the best name of any player at the club, but also because of his form this year. He's probably been our star performer so far, an average rating of 7.12, 3 goals including 2 absolute screamers, and he's also got himself an assist as well. He's got the most player of the matches, he's really done well for us, and he's actually outshone Matthew Smith, who's got a far superior rating to him. So a really good start from him. He certainly made his way in the first team now, but we also start here to avoid any spoilers of course, as well as saying a massive thank you to everyone that's followed along so far. I really do appreciate your support with this series. If you're enjoying it, please do put a thumbs up on the video, and if you're new, subscribe for daily FM20 content. We're on our new schedule now, so our 2 long-term stories rotate each day. The head coach series for FM20, that one started back on Monday at 4:30. We're 2 episodes into it, and I hope you're enjoying it so far, and if you're not up to date, then catch up in the eye above. You can do the same with this series. There's a link to the playlist from the very beginning, so you can catch up with any moments you've missed. But it's certainly been an interesting start to the National League season, and I can't wait to get into these 2 games. Going to be probably the biggest test of our season so far, and let's go back to the home screen and see why. Because remarkably, we wanted to come back for the Swindon game, and we happened to pick the Sutton one before, so there wasn't too long a gap. But it's Sutton United that are top of the table at the moment, and this has turned into the biggest game of the season. There's some more surprises with them, which we'll show you in a second. Swindon languishing in the bottom half of the table, not quite sure what's happened to them, but you can see the Sutton games are top of the table clash. We're up in 3rd place after a remarkable start. We took a few games to get going, but we are bulldozing opposition now. We're playing a bit differently to last season, not quite sure why, the tactics exactly the same, but we're solid at the back and we're being a bit more efficient this season. It really is something quite special to watch. And if you haven't noticed the other interesting thing today, Sutton United are managed by John Terry, obviously the Aston Villa assistant in real life, and just 2 years later he's now managing in the National League. A really good coach, not quite sure what he's doing down here to be honest. Been there for 2 years already, took over really early in the save, and they're top of the league and absolutely flying. He's certainly doing a pretty good job with them. But obviously the most remarkable thing for us is we're in 3rd place at the moment, and given our start to the season, that's a bit of a surprise. I was slightly worried after the first 4 or 5 games. We were actually edging towards the relegation zone, but now things have started to turn a corner, and even our finances are looking okay. Also in the last couple of weeks, for the first time we've reached the top managerial performance rating. A-star, you can't get better than that. We're absolutely flying, we put a smile on the face of every supporter, and the new owner David Sharp's been really supportive. He's helped us along through the last 6 or 7 months. Since the last episode, we've done nothing on the transfer front. We're just trying to keep these players settled in at the squad. We did try to loan one player on the left wing, but unfortunately that's not quite happened yet. But as you can see, actually going back to the home screen, Josh Georgie's been covering there this year, and he's got the best highest average rating in the squad, probably the only one that eclipses Hondermark that we showed you at the start. That's really impressive from him. He's had a pretty good season for us so far. No assists from the wide area crossing, but I guess he's cutting in on his right foot more. But otherwise it's been a really impressive start, and I couldn't have asked for much more at this stage. The only player that's left the club is Gail Kaleba. We offered him out on loan in an earlier episode, and he's now gone off to Kings Lynn for the season. I think he'll be able to get some first team football there. But let's go and have a look at the schedule to see how we got to this point. Of course you're with me for those first 2 games of the season. We followed it up with back-to-back defeats against 2 of the bigger sides in the table. At home to York we lost 1-0 despite them going down to 10 men early in the second period. And against Chesterfield we were comfortably beaten. A 2-0 victory with Presley getting a knock. But then at home to Torquay, the side we managed in this type of series last year, things turned around for us. Of course with Torquay we had great success in FM19. I really did love managing them. but we managed to beat them 4-1. They did us a favour here. Presley with a brace, Lopez and Richards off the bench, really kick-starting our season for good. Then we felt like a National League side, then the confidence built in the lads, and we're unbeaten since, as you can see. 2 1-0 victories away at Aldershot and Woking, Archie getting the winner in the first one, Honda Mark with a screamer in the second, and then at home to Ebbsfleet we won 2-0 again, Honda Mark with another brilliant goal, and then Terrell Whittaker with a second off the bench. At home to Maidenhead, a slight disappointment. They're right down near the bottom of the table, but Josh Georgie saved the day late on, and we kept our unbeaten run, which was all that mattered. Then a 3-1 win away at Eastleigh, Lopez, Archer and Presley, and Archer's already displaced Whittaker in the first team. Not as good a star rating, but he's certainly been in decent form. Then a 1-0 win away at Dover last time out, Presley with a second half penalty after missing one a bit earlier on, and Alex Perry got sent off in the first half for Dover, of course a side we managed in the head coach in FM20. So lots of familiarity going into today's game and in that run of fixtures in the National League, but there is one tactical tweak we've got to talk about that's really revolutionised our season. We spoke in the off-season in a Season 2 review about playing players in their preferred role and duty. It's something we didn't do early on in the year, particularly with Zamora at left back. In the first few games, if we go back to the schedule, his match ratings were absolutely awful. So 6.1, 6.4, 6.3 and then 6.5 against Chesterfield. And then you can see it all change from this Torquay game onwards, and there's a very special reason for that. We changed what we wanted to do tactically. I went to asymmetric instructions, which is something I'm not usually keen on doing. Zamora wanted to be a wing back on defend, so we just gave him that licence to be a better player. He's a really good player and physically strong, so we just said, we trust you, go and go play a bit further forward, and he's responded to that absolutely remarkably. Now his average rating's creeping towards a 7. Brilliant stuff from him, and it does mean we're a little bit more forceful going forward, and with Georgie right-footed on the left wing, it's actually worked out quite nicely for him too. We're training Honda Mark as a central midfielder on attack, as that seems to be his duty going forward. He's not natural in that duty, but he's been playing brilliantly there, so we've certainly got to trust him in that position moving forward. He's already building a partnership with Smith. Humphreys has made his way in at centre-half too. Unfortunately, Harbottle now relegated to the bench, but the two centre-halves building a nice partnership as well. And then Broom's in at right-back. He's made that position his own, so plenty of players gradually working their way into the side. And in fact, we've only actually got the front four that were in the first 11 last year. The back 7 are all new signings. Perhaps that's why we're more solid at the back. We really have got a much better defensive record now. If we go to the full table so we can see all the details, we've only conceded 9 goals, the third best record in the league, and that's probably why we're up there, as we haven't actually scored as freely as we do normally. So something we can be really proud of, we've been a little more pragmatic, we've adapted to the new level despite having more attacking instructions, and to be honest I think it's the role of that deep line playmaker, a position I absolutely love in any save. We weren't able to have it in the first 2 years because we didn't have a player of that higher quality, but with Matthew Smith and Honda Mark covering, we've got plenty of ability to do it now. So let's go and get into the first of the double header. You can see the dynamics are looking pretty nice, even the team cohesion's up to average now, and that's showing in our improved performances. Perhaps when that improves further we will start to show our flow going forward, but we're working so hard on our defensive shape at present that has to be the priority early on. We've got Blair Lyons asking to leave, we're desperately trying to get him out, a couple of others concerned about football, but Durnan and Matthews were only brought in to be backups, and they're on pay-as-you-play deals so we can release them if need be. They're not causing too much trouble at the moment, so we'll leave them in there for now, but hopefully moving forward we won't need to rely on them, and as a result we can just let them go on to pastures new. But the dressing room atmosphere and managerial support's brilliant. That's all we want at the club, and that's because we've kept hold of those key players such as Gallagher and Pryor, not featuring much in the first team this year, but of course they've still got a crucial role to play in the dressing room. So let's go and have a look at the lineup for today, one of the few games we're going to be underdogs for. But don't forget we're only supposed to avoid relegation, although the media expects us to reach the playoffs. The board only want us to stay up and finish comfortably, and that's exactly what we're going to achieve this year. I've lost any worry about getting relegated, as we come up today against a manager who's won multiple Premier League titles. As a player he was an inspirational leader for Chelsea, and we're going to hope he can't do the same for Sutton today. They're evens favourites, of course they are. They've won 3 games in a row to top the table, but let's have a look at our 11 that we're going for today. Of course you got a sneak peek when we were looking at the tactics screen. So as we mentioned, most of the new signings have adapted now, though Archer has come back in for Whittaker in midfield, but on the bench you've got lots more familiar names, and in the start starting line up a few more of the newer ones. So we've got Ramsbottom in goal, Broom and Zamora at the fullbacks. Of course, Zamora moving forward to a wing back as we mentioned, still on that defensive duty though. Then Humphreys and Lomas joined at centre half, Hondermark and Smith in the middle, and then Lopez and Giorgi on the wings, with Presley and Archer continuing up front. Plenty of game changers on the bench, the likes of Whittaker and Tom Whelan in particular. But let's go and get into this first game against Sutton and see how we compete against the best side in the league. Oh dear, it's a 4-3-3 for Sutton. We're not very good at defending against that. I hope we won't get caught out today, but I'm sure we'll find out the difficult way. But hopefully those two attacking wingers can peg the fullbacks back, and that means there'll be no width on the pitch at all. So let's go and get into the first half against Sutton. Balanced mentality to start with. We're still on key highlights, so hopefully we won't see too much, and we'll be able to hold our own against the league leaders. 12 minutes on the clock, we've got a throw in on the left hand side, Zamora down the line for Giorgi, holds it up and goes back to the fullback who plays the simple ball down the line for Archer. He's in one on one, the defender can't catch him, brilliant save by the keeper though, and he's tipped behind for a corner which will be taken at the far end. It'll be an in-swinger taken by Giorgi. Let's see if we can find a Dorking head, in towards Presley who loses out, falls for Hondermark, he scored a couple from there, but this time he just plays it back out wide. Headed away again but Humphreys recovers, centre half on his way back with a brilliant challenge. He plays it to his centre half partner Lomas, but the highlight ends with quarter of an hour gone. Sutton yet to have a shot at the top of the table side. Been a really good start to the game for us. Humphreys with a free kick out to the right to Lopez. Let's just get that mouse cursor out the way. Lopez to the byline, there's two in the box, but he can't get the cross in. It's cleared long, but Humphreys does really well, and he gets it back out wide to Lopez. Flicks on and Presley's in. Oh, it's disallowed for offside. I was about to celebrate, it didn't look offside, but a wonderful flick from Lopez, and Presley just went a yard too soon. A quarter of the game gone, we've been by far the better side. A really good start to a pretty cagey game. We're back with a throw-in at left-back for Sutton. Goes short and cleared long downfield. The flick-on's good and they've always got three up there. Really makes it difficult on the counter-attack because they've got three men standing up front and they're always going to have at least two in the box. The wide man crosses towards Balday, headed away well by Lomas. Only falls for the left-back though, and he finds Craig Eastman, the former Arsenal man. The through ball's awful, it's straight to Ramsbottom, and that's all we want to see from a Sutton attack. Ramsbottom with a long kick downfield, falls straight to the centre half for Sutton. Proper hoof and it falls for Broom, and Lopez loses out on the second ball. A bit bitty this game as Broom goes over the top. Hondermark's broke through from midfield, in one-on-one, and he just cannot finish. He's put it wide from a gilt-edged chance. We've had two clear-cut chances and yet to score. Hondermark's finishing not the best. Well, just a couple of minutes to half-time, Zamora with a free kick down the left, puts Archer in who misses. On his left foot, he just hasn't quite got that quality, so Whittaker may have to come on for him soon. But the first half, we've absolutely dominated. Sutton only had one shot on target, and we've had at least two or three clear-cut chances, but unfortunately the scoreline still stays 0-0. We're going to tell the lads to keep it up. They're dominating the best side in the league, and hopefully they'll continue to do well in the second half and get at least a point in this difficult match. Well, we're back with just under an hour gone. Hondermark picking it up in midfield. He goes wide to Fabio Lopez. Got pressure on him, so goes back to Broom, who goes for that long ball over. Presley's in. He's definitely not offside. Can he finish this time? He can't. It's just wide at a post. It's out for a goal kick. And the one-on-one seems to be an issue again. McGracken with a long ball downfield. Giorgi does well to win the first header. Zamora's a bit higher up the pitch. You can see that on that left-hand side. And it helps us out there. Smith, the playmaker. Lovely ball in. Presley shot saved for a corner. 5 clear-cut chances to none, and we're still unable to take the lead. It's amazing how many times we've carved this side open. John Terry will be very unhappy about that, but we're just not able to apply the finishing touch, so I think Whittaker will have to come on up front. You can see from the screen where the poor performers have been. Archer struggled up front, and we're going to take off Lopez, Giorgi switching to the right, Tom Richards coming on a more natural winger on the left. He can then whip crosses in all day, and hopefully we can go that route instead. Eppier with a crossing for Sutton though, headed to the back post and cleared off the line. Second one's in, but Ramsbottom holds it. Thankfully we managed to survive. A first clear-cut chance of the match for Sutton, but with a quarter of the game to go, it's remarkably still 0-0. Well, I've just seen who Sutton have bought on up front. Local legend Aaron Jarvis. Played for us at Luton, didn't really break through there. But those of you who follow the head coach in FM19 played a crucial role at 2 clubs. So a player we very much remember fondly, and we hope he won't produce a moment of magic here today. Balday holds it up on halfway for Sutton. They are starting to come into this game now, but Richards has intercepted and found Smith the playmaker. Long ball over towards the front man. Hondermark again trying to get further forward, but the centre half intercepts and goes back to his keeper. Key highlight again coming forward. Richards intercepts for the second time, but it's just falling nicely for Sutton now. I feel like we're running out of steam a bit. Is Margetson on the right hand side for the home side? Can he get it in the box? He can't. Great block and defensive work from Smith, and then he finds the target man, Aaron Presley. Back to Smith again. Georgie's running over the top, but the through ball's from Sutton's clearance. Jarvis is in, we mentioned him, and he has scored the winner. Aaron Jarvis, a hero for us in FM19, and on this occasion he's an absolute villain. One more change to make. Smith's at fault for the goal. He's lost his confidence and will come off. On the mark drops into the deep line playmaker role. Whelan's going to go on as a central midfielder on attack. A really difficult one to take. 5 clear-cut chances we've had in this game. We've wasted all of them against the top side in the league, and I think we're going to lose this game as a result of one mistake. It's a throw-in for Sutton on the left. They're just seeing it out professionally now. I cannot believe we haven't scored in this match. I've spoken so much about our clinical edge this season. The front two have been really decent, but on this occasion we've missed so many chances that we may have one more here. A hack clearance away from Sutton, and unfortunately it looks like they'll get away with it. Out to the right-hand side towards Margetson. He's in now as we've committed men forward. Balday heads over. We're going to go very attacking with 4 minutes of stoppage time to try and get an equaliser. Well, it's game over. We've lost 1-0. There were 7 clear-cut chances between the two sides. We've had 5 of them and somehow we've lost the match. And his former hero on the channel, Aaron Jarvis, who's ended up nicking the 3 points against us. I can't begrudge him it because he's done so much for us. But of course in this save we're against him. And unfortunately he's managed to get the winning goal. A brilliant performance. I can't fault the lads. We've gone to the league leaders. We've dominated the match. But unfortunately the scoreline shows 1-0 to Sutton. And we're now 8 points behind going into the game against Swindon. If it's any consolation, they've lost at home again. The Macclesfield, who are now in 18th place. Swindon on 14 points, 9 behind us, and we'll be hoping we can get a good home win against them. Well, we're back a week later to face Swindon, arguably the biggest side in the league on paper, but a struggling start to the season in 17th place now. Finance is okay, so it doesn't look like they've fallen apart. I really just don't know what's happened. They didn't even finish bottom of League 2 last year, so it's very surprising that they're down in 17th. They haven't won in 3, but of course we lost to Sutton, so it is going to be a game between two sides lacking in confidence. We're just about favourites, so let's see how we get on, as we're going to probably go for the same 11 again. I don't see a reason to make changes. We were fantastic in the match. We just didn't have that quality up front, so perhaps Whittaker's going to come in for Archer, but aside from that we'll keep the same 11. Let's get into the game and see if we can get back to winning ways, and it'll be a fantastic result at home to Swindon, probably our biggest win of the series so far. Well, it's a 4-3-3 for Swindon. They've got a winger on the left who we tried to sign in the summer. They've got a holding midfielder who's very good as well. Some really decent players at the club there, and it's going to be very hard for us to get a result. We'll encourage the lads as we get into it. You may notice there's no more building works at Dorking when we see the stadium. The work's been completed. It's now a 4,600 capacity, 500 extra seats, 500 extra standing, and hopefully that'll be crucial for us moving forward. If we can continue to do well in the league, I'm hoping we'll attract more fans through the gate. A quarter of the game gone, we're yet to see a highlight, so it must be a pretty dull game so far. Just over half an hour gone, the first moment's a corner in the box from Georgie. Smith to Hondermark, he scored from here before, forces a great save from Burrows. Heading towards that top corner, the keeper did brilliantly. 5 to the break, it's still 0-0. The away side yet to have a shot on target. Again the kits are clashing horribly as Whittaker holds the ball up front. Georgie in the middle to Hondermark. Out to the left hand side to Whittaker, holds it up again despite not being the target man. He goes back to Humphreys, the centre back. Long ball over, it's just a bit too long though. Presley did briefly think about chasing it, but it's all the way through to Burrows in the Swindon goal, and he just drops it at his feet to go long. Headed long ball forward, Smith loses out in the air, but Humphreys manages to get it clear. Hondermark wins the second ball, and Presley gets it wide to Fabio Lopez. He's got an overlap, but he does go back to Smith. What can the playmaker produce? A beautiful ball to Lopez on the right, and he's got a chance to cross from the byline. Whittaker misses, Georgie hits it, smashes off the post and back out, and he's out to him on the left hand side again. Good ball in towards Presley. Knocks it down for Hondermark, who puts it wide. A really poor finish from the central midfielder. 2 minutes to the break, the game's come to life, and hopefully we can nick one before the half-time whistle. But it's Swindon coming forward now. Lydon in the centre circle to the right back. Hunt coming forward on that full-back side. He's charging forward, but he's got good pressure on him. Manages to beat his man and find Dougherty. He's going to find that quality through ball. Probably the best player Swindon have got. Away to Georgie, but Dougherty wins it back. back. Finds Hunt the fullback yet again. Not really going anywhere with this Swindon, but they are keeping the ball pretty nicely. They'll probably be famous last words as Swindon will create something special here. Doughty with a long ball through, but Broom heads away and Lopez brings it down for Smith. The playmaker long over the top. Whittaker's in 1-on-1. Is he onside? Certainly tries to finish, but it's an awful shot. It goes wide of the post and Swindon survive at 0-0. The clear-cut chances look like they've been fixed, but we're certainly missing plenty of them now. As Lomas loses the header from the corner, Hondermark gets it wide to Giorgi. From the byline crosses, there's two in the box, falls for Lopez and deflects in. I'm not sure what that'll go down as. It's a Skendy own goal. Lopez hit it looked like it was going wide, but it deflected off a couple of defenders and it beats the keeper who'd already dived to his right. So we take the lead on a stroke of half time, the perfect time to do it, and we lead 1-0 against Swindon Town. What a fantastic moment for this football club. I've got to say we missed a number of clear-cut chances again, certainly not happy about that, but Swindon yet to have a shot on target, and in the second half we'll try and display the same again. Fabio Lopez picks up a knock, so Giorgi to the right and Richardson on the left, the same change we made in the last game, but on this occasion for very different reasons. Well, 10 minutes to go, we have seen absolutely nothing in this half. The lads are all frustrated from feedback I haven't given, not quite sure what's going on there. We're going to replace Hondermark with Gallagher. We've done this a few times when we're leading 1-0. He goes into a ball-winning defensive midfield position just to give us that stability in the middle of the pitch. Giorgi's the next worst, but we haven't really got a replacement. Lomas not having a good game either. So do you know what? I'll put Humphreys right centre half. Harbot will come on the left-hand side. What do they say? Don't change a winning defence, particularly one that's keeping a clean sheet. But with 5 to go, we'll demand more from the lads and just try and get that last bit out of them. So stoppage time coming. We've not seen any highlights in the second half. We're going to time waste all the time. We'll slow the pace down and we'll drop our attacking line just to try and shore things up a bit. 2 banks of 4, the classic football cliche. Let's see if we can hold on for the last few minutes. Well, there we go. That is an outstanding moment in this series. We beat Swindon 1-0. I know they've had a poor start to the season, but the biggest club we've played here, it looks like there's more fans in the stadium, and Swindon didn't have a shot on target. That is the thing I'm most proud of there. We restricted them so brilliantly, and a 1-0 win at home again, our 3rd or 4th victory by that result this season. We'll tell the lads they did well. It was a fantastic performance. We've got 2 more home games coming up this week. 9th place Chester and 4th place Fylde. Certainly going to be a difficult week for the club. So we've only lost 3 games this season in our first 13, all of those against sides in the top 6, so it's certainly been a brilliant start to the season, and who honestly thought we were going to be in 3rd place? So let's quickly see what the media said about it. We were completely in control, level on possession but double the amount of shots, and of course Swindon didn't manage to get one on target. Lopez picks up a knock but only 1 to 3 days, so we'll probably leave him out of the Chester match on Tuesday and then hopefully he'll be back next Saturday. But a brilliant result to finish and another pretty decent episode. I'm baffled we didn't win the Sutton game, or at least get something out of it. How we didn't score I'll never know, but of course we're still competing at the top of the table. No fears of relegation, it couldn't be going much better, so let's have a look at when we might next be back. Of course, if we can get through in the FA Cup 4th qualifier, we could well get a big tie in the first round. If we do, we'll come back for that one. If not, I think it would be rude not to come back for the Kettering match. I'm not quite sure where they are in the league here. They're up in 10th, so it'll actually be a pretty good game, but they were of course the side that took us in the head coach series. We're only a couple of episodes into that story, but they're the club that have taken a chance on us. But it's not often we get little crossovers, so we'll certainly take advantage of it. But if you did enjoy this episode and those 2 really tense games, please do put a thumbs up on the video. I was so pleased with how we're controlling the game against Swindon, and baffled we didn't get a result against Sutton. But we're really tight at the back, something I never expected. Just 3 goals conceded in the last 8 games. Who would have thought that a year or 2 ago? Nearly every game on camera had 5 or 6 goals last season. Let me know in the comments what you think we can achieve this year. Of course, we've probably got to think about changing our expectations. Survival is no longer the key here. We're already about 15 points clear of that. Where are we going to be able to get to? Do we look for a top half consolidation? Do we try and push for the playoffs this year? If we can get the experience of the playoffs, even if we lose it, it would certainly make things easier next season. Of course, the one thing the playoffs does do is restrict our summer transfer window, so it was actually a blessing in disguise in our first year. We finished 8th and missed out on the playoffs on the last day, but by the time the playoff final was taking place, we'd already signed half of our summer signings. Many of them are still key players here now, so it shows how crucial those extra weeks can be. We beat other clubs higher up the pyramid that may have been interested in those players, because they were still invested in their season, and we were able to focus on the summer. So we'll see how it goes. I obviously won't complain if we're in the top 7, but let me know what you think we can achieve. And subscribe to the channel for daily FM20 content. We'll be rotating our stories each day on this new schedule. So the head coach will be back tomorrow at 4:30, and then this Dorking Wanderers save in 2 days' time. If you haven't seen the head coach yet, then do pop back and check it out. It really has been a cracker so far. And we've also got 2 episodes a week from our Cricket 19 career. We've had a couple of landmark moments in the last week or so. But a massive thanks for watching this one and your continued support of the series as always. I really do appreciate it. And I hope to see you next time for another important episode as we try to continue our fantastic start to the season.